Chapter 1077. An hour later. Little Meow Meow was tired from playing and was basking in the sun on the tatami by the French window, snoring continuously. Fu Shirshi was sitting next to him and flipping through a few fairy tale picture books, looking very obedient. On the other side. How long has Shui been at home? It's been 2 or 3 years. I heard that he was hesitant to go when he was nominated for an Oscar. Li Jianyu tried to persuade them. Sister E, don't slack off. You have no idea how many people are looking forward to your comeback. He wasn't exaggerating. Ordinary artists would lose most of their popularity if they didn't make a comeback. However, Shui and Xianxia were different. It had been almost 3 years since Two Under One Roof was broadcast. However, the number of views had always been at the top of the variety show rankings. The two of them would occasionally post on Weibo and easily get more than 100,000 comments. Xianxia chuckled and said, I'm fine with it. What does Shui say? I've looked for him several times before, but he seems to be uninterested. Li Jianyu touched his nose resentfully. I don't think he plans to return to the entertainment industry. Shui had been working behind the scenes for the past 2 years and would invest in several movies and television series every year. He had also taken over some of Tomato Entertainment's work. Now, Tomato Entertainment was already in existence that could compete with Xingchen Entertainment in the entertainment industry. In fact, they were even better in some aspects. Ding! The sound of the fingerprint lock being unlocked sounded. At the door, a tall and slender figure appeared in front of everyone. It was Shui. He was wearing a clean and simple white shirt that outlined his well-proportioned figure. He strode through the door with his long legs, carrying a paper bag from a dessert shop in his hand. After greeting Li Jianyu and the others, Shui walked out of the kitchen. When he came out again, he was holding a tray with a few pieces of cake on it. He placed the strawberry tiramisu in front of Xianxia and went straight to the point. Do you have a proposal? Li Jianyu hurriedly explained. This time, bringing up a baby was planned to be live-streamed 6 times, each one a week apart, which was about the same as the current update speed of variety shows. Every episode had a different theme, such as visiting relatives, a father taking care of his child independently, and making new friends. Shui looked at it carefully and nodded. Okay. Li Jianyu was overjoyed. Then I'll get someone to prepare the contract. Friends were friends and work was work. He had always been very clear about that. Shui and Xianxia said at the same time, Wait. Ha! Xianxia said gently, We need to ask for Little Meow Meow's opinion. Li Jianyu was stunned. Little Meow Meow was only 2 years old. Would a normal parent ask for a child's opinion? It doesn't seem like it. Anyway, when he was young, no one at home asked him about it. Coincidentally, Little Meow Meow had just woken up. Rubbing her eyes, she saw Shui and immediately ran over. Little Meow Meow jumped into Xianxia's arms and said coquettishly, Mama, I want hugs, I want kisses, I want to be lifted up high. Shui narrowed her eyes, emitting a dangerous aura. Come here. I don't want to. Little Meow Meow hugged Xianxia tightly and rubbed against her collarbone. Mama, Papa is fierce to me. Woo-woo. Shui clicked her tongue. Was she asking for a beating again? He lowered his eyelashes, looking helpless and pitiful. Did I do something wrong? That's why Meow Meow hates Papa. It's okay if Papa is sad, as long as Meow Meow is happy. Li Jianyu and the others were in a daze. This scene, why did it feel so familiar? Chapter 1078. Xianxia rubbed the space between her eyebrows, already used to it. Such a scene had been played out countless times. She didn't know if Xiao Naofu's green tea meow had influenced Shui, or if Shui's green tea meow had spread from one person to another. In short, it was normal for the father and son to argue with each other at home, and it was even more normal for them to act together. Okay, let's get down to business. Meow Meow, Uncle wants us to do a live broadcast, just like Fourth Uncle's competition. There will be a lot of people watching us through the internet. Some people will think that Meow Meow is cute, and some people will think that Meow Meow is not cute. Some people will like Meow Meow, and some people will hate Meow Meow. So, Meow Meow, do you think you can accept it? Do you want to do a live stream? Little Meow Meow's ability to understand was not bad. Besides, ever since he could speak, Xianxia would ask for his opinion. After a long time, Little Meow Meow learned that he had a choice and that his parents would respect his decision. Why would anyone hate me? Little Meow Meow tilted his head and asked in confusion. Li Jianyu exclaimed, "Hey, no! The whole world likes Meow Meow." Not far away, Fu Shirshi nodded in agreement. Well said. Xianxia explained seriously, because everyone has different ideas, just like how Meow Meow and Daddy and Mommy think differently. Meow Meow likes lollipops, Daddy hates lollipops, and Mommy doesn't like or dislike lollipops. Meow Meow may change Daddy and Mommy's minds, but it may never change. Li Jianyu scratched his head, wondering if Xianxia was being too profound for such a young child. However, little Meow Meow seemed to be deep in thought. Mommy! He raised his beautiful starry eyes and pouted his chubby cheeks. I want to go, I want to be with Daddy and Mommy. As long as he was with Daddy and Mommy, he wouldn't be afraid. He didn't care if others didn't like him. As long as Daddy and Mommy liked him, he would be the happiest child in the world. Li Jianyu was a little surprised. It turns out that children know so much? He was a little surprised, but he immediately felt relieved. Maybe another miracle will happen during this live stream. A week later, at 8:30 p.m., Weibo traffic was at its peak. The official Weibo account of Two Under One Roof, which had been silent for a long time, was updated. Two Under One Roof v. Two Under One Roof. Bring a baby. Do you still remember our gentle Xiangxia? Do you still remember our Westlake Longjing Sui Z? Saturday, 10 o'clock a.m., live streaming with children is coming. Sure Sui, Xiangxia, and little Meow Meow will be there. Then, Sure Sui and Xiangxia reposted the post. In an instant, the popularity exploded. Weibo was on the verge of collapse, and programmers were working overtime. The netizens were overjoyed as if they were celebrating the new year. They had been waiting for too long. Oh, little Lousy is finally going to be updated. Sure Sui is Sister Yi's baby? The name sounds so cute. So is she returning? Please, hurry up and start your career. Saturday, 10 o'clock. The camera began to film a familiar scene. The OUF flowers climbing on the black iron gate seemed to have become more luxuriant, and the layers of flowers were incomparably gorgeous. Walking along the stone path, they saw an unbelievably beautiful manor. In the distance, there was a familiar pond, a vegetable field, a little black pig, and ducks. In the glass greenhouse, a small figure was running and catching butterflies. Everyone held their breaths, wanting to see the cute baby's face. Chapter 1079. As if having guessed what the audience was thinking, the camera shook twice and the cameraman adjusted the angle. Little Meng's face appeared on the screen. The child looked like he was carved out of jade. His hair was a little curly and he looked like a doll. His eyes were pure and flawless, like clear spring water. His eyelashes were long and curly, and his lips were red and pouty. At first glance, it was hard to tell if he was a boy or a girl. Countless netizens were watching the live stream. Oh, he's so cute. Baby, I declare that I'm your biological mother now. From today onwards, I'm your godfather, okay? Little Meow Meow was completely unaware of the comments online. After failing to catch a butterfly for a long time, he was a little annoyed and stomped his feet angrily. Li Jianyu was amused. Little Meow Meow, you didn't catch a butterfly again? Do you need me to catch one for you? Thank you, Uncle, I can do it. Little Meow Meow answered in his childish voice, melting the hearts of countless men and women in front of the screen. This was simply a series that tricked people into having children. Li Jianyu said, say hello to everyone, there are a lot of people watching our little Meow Meow. Ha! Little Meow Meow immediately stopped catching butterflies and trotted over to the cameraman. In order to take a picture of him, the cameraman squatted down. Little Meow Meow leaned in front of the camera and pressed his face against the screen. Is anyone there? Can you see me? After zooming in, his cuteness doubled. The comment section was filled with screams. Yes, I can see you, baby. Li Jianyu laughed and said, Meow Meow, you don't have to get so close, everyone can see you. Oh. Little Meow Meow stepped back a little and stood still obediently. He waved at everyone and said, hello, my nickname is Meow Meow, my real name is Shiji, my father is Shui, my mother is Xiangxia, and my uncle is... When it came to his third uncle, Little Meow Meow had already started counting with his fingers. When it came to his fourth uncle, Little Meow Meow sighed. Sigh, why do I have so many uncles? The netizens burst into laughter. Little Meow 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 counted all his relatives and still felt that it wasn't enough. He thought about it and said, My name is Cici. Fu Shirshi was too difficult to pronounce. Little Meow Meow Meow. Cici. In an instant, the netizens were energized. Gua? Brother? Since when did Little Meow Meow have a brother? Did Shui and Xianxia have other children? And my friend is called Hu. Little Meow Meow yawned. All right, I'm done with the introductions. I'm going to sleep. Li Jianghu? ? The audience? ? Little Meow Meow was very familiar with the place. She would often lie down on the soft tatami mattress at the side, not forgetting to cover herself with a small blanket. Not long after her head hit the pillow, she would fall asleep. After a while, she was snoring. Live stream. She fell asleep? How could a guest in a variety show suddenly fall asleep? However, Little Meow Meow was still a child, so they did not hold him to the standards of an adult. On the contrary, his parents were very pleased. Look, our baby is sleeping so soundly. To be honest, her snoring was quite nice. Li Jianghu did not expect this development either. He laughed dryly and said, Then let's go see what Shui and Sister Yi are doing. The group walked to the living room and saw Shui reading in front of the floor-to-ceiling window. Sister Yi? She's probably too tired from last night. She's still sleeping, a certain actor said calmly. The live stream exploded. There's evidence. Chapter 1080. Ahem, I can read these words, but why do I suddenly not understand what they mean? Is Little Meow Meow going to have a younger brother or sister? Shui closed the book and went to the kitchen unhurriedly. He skillfully washed, cut, and arranged the vegetables one by one. He stewed the chicken soup in a casserole pot and baked the small cake. After making the milk powder, he went to the glass greenhouse. Little Meow Meow had just woken up and was rubbing his eyes as he sat down. Seeing him, Little Meow Meow called out softly, Daddy. Shui handed the milk bottle to him, but Little Meow Meow refused to take it and said coquettishly, Daddy, feed me. Drink it yourself. Little Meow Meow pouted. In the live stream, the netizens began to condemn Shui. Hurry up and feed our little baby. Dog, this is your son. Maybe it's because he's a son that she's not feeding him. You may have guessed the truth. While everyone was discussing heatedly, a soft and sweet voice sounded from outside the greenhouse. Little Meow Meow. The netizens were in an uproar. Sister Yi. Hearing his mother's voice, Little Meow Meow lifted the blanket and ran to his mother's side. Xianxia was wearing a white dress and a beige knitted sweater, looking gentle and homely. She picked up Little Meow Meow. Moi. Little Meow Meow kissed her on the cheek and said, Good morning, Mommy. Good morning. Meow Meow. I want milk. Little Meow Meow raised the milk bottle and said, I want Mommy to feed me. Little Meow Meow had already started repeating his words when he saw his mother. Xianxia had always doted on him. She sat him down on the tatami mat and patiently fed him with the milk bottle. While drinking, Little Meow Meow glanced at Shui provocatively. He didn't forget to secretly complain to Xianxia. Mommy, Daddy wants to starve me to death. Shui was speechless. Little brat, say that again? Look, Daddy is glaring at me. Little Meow Meow hid in Xianxia's arms, looking pitiful. Meow Meow, it's better for you to go on a hunger strike so that Daddy won't have any geese. If there are no geese, Daddy will be happy. Shui raised an eyebrow and retorted lazily, I'm sorry, Meow Meow. I can't become what Meow Meow wants. How about I run away from home and find you a new father? The father and son began their daily exchange of tea. Xianxia sighed. It was starting again. The netizens in the live stream were amused by the interaction between the father and son. Meow Meow is indeed the son of the tea sage. The older the ginger, the spicier it is. Shui is the best tea. Sister Yi's expression is too cute. It's not easy to raise a baby. Sister Yi sighs, Xianxia said. If you two keep messing around, I won't talk to you anymore. In an instant, tears welled up in Meow Meow's eyes. Mama, I was wrong. Shui coughed softly and said, "I'll go check on the chicken soup." Xianxia said, "Same old rules." Those 3 words made Shui and Meow Meow both reveal pained expressions. Everyone waited expectantly for what would happen next. After more than 10 seconds of stalemate, Meow Meow gritted his teeth and kissed Shui's face in disgust. "Papa, I love you." Shui also kissed his face in disgust and said perfunctorily, "Meow Meow, I love you too." After the kiss, the 2 of them stepped back as if they had touched something dirty. Meow Meow frantically wiped his mouth with his sleeve. Shui also pursed his thin lips with his fingers. Xianxia nodded in satisfaction. "Very good. A loving father and a filial son." That sentence directly brought the variety show to its climax. A loving father and a filial son are the best, ha ha ha. Shui and Meow Meow. Their faces say, "I do." Sister E is still the best. She's so good at running a family. Thumbs up. Good night. The extras were expected to be completed tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. They would then write about their previous lives, which was also expected to be short. They were going to finish it in the next few days, so the update might be a little boring. Chapter 1081. The live stream continued. Next, everyone admired the culinary skills. However, Shui was now the one cooking. He used to cook instant noodles, but now, he could cook dishes effortlessly. He could be said to be a virtuous husband. Xianxia took Meow Meow to pick some fruits. She went to the side to cut grapes while Meow Meow took a fancy to the hawthorns. He wasn't hungry, he was just craving them. Although the little guy liked to be coquettish, he wasn't completely dependent on his parents. His lotus root-like chubby arms hugged the tree, and his short legs climbed up the tree with great difficulty. He slipped and fell. Unwilling to admit defeat, Meow Meow tried to climb again. By the time Xianxia realized that he was climbing the tree, Meow Meow had already climbed more than a meter. The little chubby hand tried hard to reach up and pulled off a hawthorn, but he immediately lost his balance. He exclaimed, but instead of falling to the ground, he fell into his mother's warm arms. The netizens finally felt relieved. However, everyone had a strange look in their eyes. Is it really a tree climbing skill? I'm already 20 years old, but I still can't climb trees. I suddenly feel like a good-for-nothing. I have to say, Meow Meow is really fast at climbing trees. The power of genes is too strong. Xianxia said helplessly, "Meow Meow, climbing trees is too dangerous." In the next second, Meow Meow stuffed the hawthorn into her mouth and said softly, "Mommy, eat." Xianxia tasted it and said, "It's a little sour." Meow Meow rolled his eyes and said, "Then I'll pick some more for Daddy." Xianxia was speechless. "You're really smart." Li Jianyu couldn't help but laugh out loud. "Aren't you afraid that your father will do the same to you? That guy is the real black-bellied one. Although he looks like a good person on the surface, he's actually a scheming and evil person." Meow Meow refused Xianxia's help and insisted on climbing the tree by himself. Xianxia thought about it and decided that it wouldn't be that dangerous with Meow Meow looking after him. When she was 2 years old, she seemed to know how to climb trees to pick fruits. Thus, Xianxia gave little Meow Meow some pointers. Soon, little Meow Meow grasped the knowledge and climbed up. After filling both bags, little Meow Meow prepared to come down. Unfortunately, he did not have enough strength. In the end, it was Xianxia who carried him down. Even so, this scene was shocking enough. The video of little Meow Meow climbing the tree was instantly made into a small video and circulated. Video of early humans conquering nature. Congratulations, your ancestral tree climbing talent has been maxed out. Isn't it possible to climb trees as long as you have hands? Xianxia took Meow Meow back to wash its hands and face. She washed the hawthorns and let them dry so that she could make hawthorn cakes in the afternoon. At this time, Shui finished cooking. It was time for lunch. Little Meow Meow had her own baby seat and her own bowl and chopsticks. She loved prawns the most. She picked 3 prawns into her bowl and gave the first one to Xianxia. "Mama, baby will feed you." The old parents in front of the screen smiled with relief. "Look at how filial our child is." Shui said coldly, "Go ahead and eat your food." Little Meow Meow argued, "If Papa can feed Mama, why can't baby? Papa used his mouth last time." Xianxia quickly covered her baby's mouth. The rest of her words were all stuffed back into her mouth. The smiles on the parents' faces froze. they suddenly remembered that they were still single. Chapter 1082. After dinner, Shui and Xianxia played with Meow Meow for a while to play with building blocks and talk about picture books. Little Meow Meow fell asleep. The audience watching the live stream couldn't help but laugh. This kid is so good at sleeping. He's such a lazy cat. Shui picked up a small blanket at the side and placed it over Little Meow Meow's body. Little Meow Meow seemed to be dreaming as he mumbled incoherently, "Papa, eat hawthorn." Shui recalled the hawthorn that Little Meow Meow had given him, and his teeth were still aching from the sourness. He clicked his tongue and patted Little Meow Meow's butt gently. "Little brat, I think you want to send your father away." Xianxia laughed. The netizens also burst into laughter. Good boy, he doesn't forget to trick his father even in his dreams. Tutu's child equals little brat, nothing wrong. I've recorded this. I wonder what Little Meow Meow's expression will be when he grows up and finds out that he's being spanked by millions of people. Ha ha ha. After the afternoon nap, Shui and Xianxia took Little Meow Meow out fishing. Halfway through, they ran into the little black pig. Little Meow Meow boldly chased after the pig while shouting, "Mommy, I want to eat this." The netizens exclaimed, "Did you hear that?" When they arrived at the pond, Shui skillfully put out the bait and cast the line. Soon, he caught a fish that weighed more than a kilogram. Little Meow Meow was drooling as she stared at Shui with her starry eyes. "Papa, I want to kiss you, can I?" Shui raised his eyebrows. "You want to eat fish?" No, I just like Papa, so I want to kiss Papa." Shui pinched his little cheeks and said lazily, "Go play somewhere else." Little Meow Meow's head drooped. Shui added, "I'll make you fish soup tonight." Whoosh! Little Meow Meow raised his head and said with bright eyes, "Papa is great." With a smack, he kissed Shui and happily continued to chase after the pigs. Xianxia also kissed Shui with a sweet smile. "Good luck, Mr. Shui." She got up and followed Little Meow Meow. Shui, who was by the pond, smirked, exuded a relaxed and lazy aura. Passers-by may not know, but his old fans did. With the comparison, they finally understood that Shui's gentleness and gentleness in the past were just a facade. Behind that facade, there was an unapproachable and distant aura. You'll never know if he's as. But now it was different. He was really. He. At the end of the first live stream, the response of "bringing babies" was explosive. Not only did it sway, S's was, this, as the netizens were full of praises and they all expressed that whether it was Shui and Xianxia getting along with each other or the interaction between the family of three, they were all very comfortable. They respected and doted on each other. Hey! After watching this variety show, all the hostility in one's heart disappeared and was replaced by warmth. In the second episode, Shui and Xianxia brought Little Meow Meow back to the Xiang family mansion. The netizens witnessed what it meant to be doted on. Little Meow Meow was completely doted on. It was because Little Meow Meow was a boy that Xianxia was really doted on by everyone in the Xiang family. The interaction between Little Meow Meow and Grandpa Xiang was also hilarious. Xiang Feng wanted to trick Little Meow Meow, but Little Meow Meow did the opposite and even got beaten up by Xiang Wan. Once again it proved that Xiang Feng was at the bottom of the food chain in the Xiang family. The third episode, the fourth episode. Every episode of the livestream would cause a stir on the internet. In the blink of an eye, Little Meow Meow became the hottest child star in the country and even the world. In the blink of an eye, the last episode was here. Chapter 1083. There were only a few minutes left before the live stream started. The fans in the live stream were rubbing their hands together, ready to raise their child. Everyone was exclaiming how cute Little Meow Meow was in the comments section while discussing what the theme of this episode was. Although every live stream was a daily routine, Li Jianyu's directing skills were very good and he secretly controlled a main storyline. This was one of the important reasons why each episode was dull but interesting. At 10 o'clock sharp, the live stream lit up. This episode was not set in Little Rabbit Manor. Instead, in a car? The cameraman first took a picture of the scenery outside the window before moving to the back seat. The back seat was spacious and the interior was simple but elegant. The camera locked onto Fu Shirshi in the safety seat. The child was wearing a black suit with a bow tied neatly. At such a young age, his handsome features were already visible. He held a gift box in his hand and looked a little nervous. The netizens were a little curious. Who was this child? A moment later, the car stopped at the entrance of Little Rabbit Manor. Little Meow Meow was the first to run out when he saw the car. Guagua. A netizen with a strong memory immediately explained. I've watched it more than 10 times. If I remember correctly, this should be the Guagua CC that Little Meow Meow mentioned in the first episode. Fu Shirshi saw Little Meow Meow running so fast and frowned, afraid that he would fall. He jumped out of the car and whispered, "Hey, slow down." Plop. Little Meow Meow fell. He pursed his lips and was about to cry when Fu Shirshi appeared in front of him. Fu Shirshi helped his little silly cat up and patted the dust on his knees. Does it hurt? Yes, yes. Little Meow Meow nodded as tears welled up in his pure eyes. Fu Shirshi pursed his lips. Sorry, I'll run faster next time. That way, I'll be able to catch you before you fall. Little Meow Meow sniffed. It's okay, I won't cry. If I cry, Daddy and Mommy will be sad too. He did not want to be a child who made Daddy and Mommy sad. Good boy. Fu Shirshi was like an older brother as he patted Little Meow Meow's head and handed him a gift. Here, a gift for you. Little Meow Meow opened it and was pleasantly surprised. Wah! Dried fish. Fu Shirshi's face was tense. I made it, but Mommy helped me. Little Meow Meow couldn't wait any longer and stuffed one into her mouth. There wasn't much seasoning in the dried fish, which accentuated the original freshness. Of course, Little Meow Meow always remembered the principle of sharing. After eating one, she didn't forget to share one with Fu Shirshi. I'm eating a pot too. It's so delicious. Fu Shirshi said nonchalantly, as long as you like it. However, the corners of his mouth had already curled up. He had to make more delicious food for Little Meow Meow in the future. After all, he was going to be the cat's keeper. This scene struck a chord with countless netizens. 2 little cuties are twice as cute. Woo woo, our kitten has made friends. He's too outstanding. Cece looks like she has a big brother. Looks like she'll take care of Meow Meow when she grows up. Speaking of which, does anyone remember Xiao Naofu and little Shiji? He had heard that they had gone to Meow Meow and Woof Planet. But when he saw Meow Meow and Cece, he felt that they were back. Perhaps, there is always fate in the unseen world? In the air, in the void that no one could see. The little white tiger used its claws to dig the hole and roared angrily. Damn it! That's my cat. I'm the keeper, okay? Stinky lion. Woof 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 woof. On the ground, Fu Shirshi and Little Meow Meow held hands and walked home together. The sun shone brightly and warmly on the 2 of them. Millions of fans were watching them grow up and giving them their blessings for their future. Hey, please grow up well, happily, and blissfully. Chapter 1084. After the live stream ended, the number of views on the online version was still high. The subsequent daily life of the 2 adorable children, Little Meow Meow and Fu Shirshi, was even more addictive. Amidst the strong cheers of the netizens, Xianxia and Jianghu created separate Weibo accounts for Little Meow Meow and Fu Shirshi, posting photos of the 2 of them from time to time. A few days after the Weibo account was opened, the 2 of them had more than 10 million fans. They were even more popular than some young hunks. The little white tiger secretly went to look for Little Meow Meow several times in a bid to make her understand who her keeper was. Unfortunately, every time Fu Shirshi scolded him, he would get angry and his fur would stand on end. His barking would never stop. On this day, the little white tiger came to feed Little Meow Meow as usual. It brought a lot of food for Little Meow Meow, including ginseng as carrots, bird's nest as white fungus, spiritual fish in the world of immortal cultivation, nutrient fluids in the world of interstellar, and other strange foods as snacks. Eat more, chubby Meow Meow. The little white tiger touched Little Meow Meow's head with its paw with a benevolent expression. Little Meow Meow said, You eat too. I'm tired of eating these. The little white tiger flipped around and pulled out a few carrots from the void. I'll eat these, the carrots grown by stupid rabbits taste pretty good. Do rabbits grow carrots too? Little Meow Meow asked curiously. Tisk, what's so great about carrots? That rabbit spirit is very powerful. Little Meow Meow exclaimed and skillfully moved her small stool over. She didn't forget to pick up a piece of watermelon and nibble on it. I want to hear a story. The little white tiger pursed his lips. This fat cat. Every time I tell him something, he listens with great interest. This story is a long story. At the same time, Xianxia sensed the arrival of the little white tiger. She had never disturbed it and little Meow Meow. Although she didn't like the little white tiger very much, it was little Meow Meow's friend and that was enough. She leaned against the tatami and read some medical books for a while before falling asleep soon. Xianxia had a strange dream. In her dream, she saw a little white rabbit spirit. The rabbit spirit didn't like cultivation or interacting with humans. Instead, she liked growing carrots. She was very weak, but she could inject her meager spiritual energy into the water, humming a song as she watered the carrots. Seas turned into mulberry fields, and all living things changed. The vegetable field had become a spiritual field, and the taste of the carrots had become more and more delicious. Unknowingly, the rabbit spirit had also become a great demon. One day, she found a humanoid creature in a black robe and a white tiger in the vegetable field. One man and one tiger were seriously injured. The white tiger's injuries were slightly lighter. It opened its eyes in a daze and looked at the rabbit spirit. The little rabbit was frightened. It picked up a carrot that was thicker than a person and knocked it unconscious. Before White Tiger fainted, it only had two thoughts. It's over. It's over. Can this carrot send Lord Xiaxia away? The other was, so painful. Oh, I want to kill this rabbit. The rabbit spirit picked up the man and the tiger and brought them back to the nest. When the white tiger woke up again, it found itself tied up by vines. Its whole body was soaked in a pot with firewood under the pot. What are you doing? White Tiger was horrified. Don't tell me you want to eat me and my lord? Don't you eat carrots? The rabbit spirit said innocently, No, I've always eaten a combination of meat and vegetables. At this moment, the eyelashes of the man on the bed fluttered. Chapter 1085. Only then did the white tiger realize that not only was his lord not in the pot, but he was also lying on the bed. The bed was in the shape of a flower. It was thick and soft, and the blanket was fluffy from the sun. There was even the smell of the sun. He looked down at himself in the pot. The white tiger had a mental breakdown. Why don't you eat my lord? The little rabbit was puzzled and self-righteous. Why do you want to eat him? The white tiger was speechless. Cough, cough. The man on the bed coughed a few times. Although he was weak, he still propped himself up. The rabbit spirit was overjoyed. You're awake. Do you want to eat meat to nourish your body? I wonder how that tiger tastes. Will its meat be very dry? The man was at a loss for words. The white tiger had a mental breakdown. Damn it. Was this rabbit spirit despising him, a divine white tiger? Damn rabbit. Let me tell you. My meat is not dry. My meat is the most delicious in the world. Really? The rabbit spirit was skeptical. How dare you doubt me? The white tiger was so angry that he spat out a mouthful of blood. You're so noisy. The rabbit spirit was annoyed. He carried his carrot and swung it at him. Before the white tiger fainted, he saw that his lord was actually smiling. The man's thin lips curled up slightly for a moment before he returned to his weak state. Cough, 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 cough. Thank you, Lord Tutu, for saving my life. The little rabbit was successfully pleased by the words Lord Tutu, but she still shook her head. Although you're very good-looking, I still want to eat you. But you're too thin now. I can eat you after I fatten you up a little. The man raised his eyebrows. A little rabbit spirit wanted to eat him? TSK. The little rabbit was clueless. She leaned over with her pink and white ears. Can you lay eggs? If you can, I won't eat you. I'll just keep the eggs for myself. The man's eyes flickered and his tone was apologetic. Sorry, I can't do anything about that. All right. The little rabbit was a little disappointed, but she did not give up. Can you give birth to cubs? I can eat your cubs. The white tiger woke up quickly this time. When he heard this, all his hair stood on end. Tian Tian. This audacious little rabbit actually wanted to eat an adult's child. Was she not afraid of death? White Tiger roared. Damned rabbit, the one in front of you is the god in charge of time and order in the Sea of Time. In order to repair the spatial hole in this plane, he had descended here. Hurry up and kneel down and beg for forgiveness. Gods? The little rabbit blinked. I've never eaten one before, so I don't know how it tastes. White tiger. Aw. Woof, woof, woof. This stubborn and foolish rabbit spirit. A low and gentle voice rose slowly. Although I can't lay eggs, this white tiger might be able to. The white tiger was confused. My lord, It couldn't be. In the next second, it found itself unable to say a word. Silence spell? His lordship had the ability to use the silence spell, so why didn't he beat this rabbit up? The rabbit spirit was confused. But, I've never seen a tiger that can lay eggs. It's different. It's a mythological beast, so it's not difficult for it to lay eggs. The man lowered his head, and his thick black eyelashes made his skin look even paler. I'll also try my best to gain weight, Master Tutu. The rabbit spirit came to a sudden realization. I understand now. So it's because I have to raise it for a few more days before I can eat it. Chapter 1086. The white tiger widened its eyes. His Excellency was lying. No, lying to the rabbit? Am I right? Under the rabbit spirit's expectant gaze, the white tiger and the man stayed. The man stayed on the bed, while the white tiger stayed on the pot. As for the little rabbit, she had her own little nest. It was originally on the bed, but now it was on the ground. It had to be said that the rabbit spirit's food was very good. Let's talk about meat. In the past, the man didn't eat grains, and the white tiger would occasionally hunt for food. It was used to eating raw meat. But for the rabbit spirit, eating meat was a kind of fastidious thing. Just roasted meat alone had many kinds of dipping sauces. As for the other ways to eat it, there were too many to mention. After eating for a few days, the white tiger's stomach was full. Several days later, the seriously injured man brought the white tiger out of the house for a stroll. As far as the eye could see, there was an endless vegetable field. Most of them were planted with the rabbit spirit's favorite carrots, and some other kinds of vegetables and fruits. On the hillside in the distance, there were free-range animals everywhere. There were also all kinds of fish and prawns in the pond. The white tiger was shocked. This rabbit could develop continuously? It actually knew how to grow vegetables and raise poultry. On second thought, weren't it and His Excellency also domesticated by her? My Excellency, this damned rabbit is insulting us. The white tiger was filled with righteous indignation. My injuries are much better now. Why don't you let me teach her a lesson first? When His Excellency's strength recovers, we'll return to the Sea of Time and, while we're at it, pull out all the carrots of this damned rabbit. The moment it thought of the rabbit spirit wiping her tears with drooping ears, it felt so good. The man glanced at it. Much better? Are you sure? Yes. If you don't believe me, I'll show you a tiger pouncing on a rabbit. The white tiger attacked the rabbit spirit in the distance who was defenseless. Just as its sharp claws were about to strangle the rabbit spirit's neck, there was an unknown obstruction in the void, and the tiger fell beside the rabbit spirit. Coincidentally, there was a big rock on the ground. Clang! The white tiger was dizzy from the collision. It felt that the internal injuries that had just recovered were even more serious. Hey, why did you run out? The rabbit spirit turned around and saw that it had squashed a carrot. She said angrily, You don't even know how to lay eggs, yet you're here to cause trouble. What's the point of keeping you? White tiger was dizzy, and before it could react, the damned rabbit spirit had put a collar around its neck. Roar! It let out an earth-shattering roar. This hoo-hoo is a divine beast. It's not your food. The rabbit spirit snorted. I just happen to be lacking a dog. Here, you'll be guarding the door from now on. The white tiger wailed, My lord, save me. Not only did his master not save him, he even covered his mouth with his bony hand and coughed a few times. Me too. His slender and pale fingers pointed at his neck. There's no need. You're very obedient. The rabbit spirit smiled. You just need to eat more and fatten yourself up. Got it? Yes. The man responded, obedient and docile. The white tiger was dumbfounded. Could it be that his lordship's injuries were so severe that he had lost his mind? He clearly could have beaten this rabbit up, so why did he have to allow himself to be captured? Hoo-hoo was confused and didn't understand. By the way, the last time I went shopping in the human town, I bought a lot of storybooks. Do you know how to read them? The little rabbit looked at the man. Her pink and white ears were slightly curled up and dyed with a hint of crimson. Their words are too difficult. I came back to plant carrots before I could learn them. The white tiger was disdainful. TSK. Illiterate. How could mere storybook stump his lordship? However, it heard an apologetic and gentle voice. Sorry, I don't really understand them either. However, if Lady Tutu takes me to a human school, perhaps I can try to learn how to read. The white tiger was speechless. No, how did its wise and knowledgeable lordship become illiterate? Chapter 1087. It was the annual Lantern Festival in Shangjing. The city was brightly lit, and people were coming and going on the streets. The rabbit spirit and the man walked among the crowd. The pedestrians could barely sense their presence, but they all avoided them. I'm awesome, right? The rabbit spirit, who had transformed into a young girl, was a little proud. As a powerful demon, she still had the ability to hide from human perception. The man chuckled. As expected of Lady Tutu. Hee. The rabbit spirit was so happy that her ears popped out. They fluttered twice before she pressed them back down. The man looked away from those fluffy ears, and his fingertips inexplicably felt itchy. He just wanted to pinch her little ears. The school opened during the day, but the two were not in a hurry. They strolled around casually. Perhaps shopping was a female's talent, but the rabbit spirit was self-taught. Along the way, she bought candied haws, kites, lanterns, storybooks. When they reached a small stall selling masks, she carefully selected a tiger mask and put it on. Then she turned around and howled at the man. The man was stunned. I'm super fierce. The rabbit spirit emphasized. Then, her attention was attracted by a mask in the corner. She picked it up and compared it to the man's face. Satisfied, she said, "This is not bad. It suits you very well." It was a fox mask, and the outline was exquisite and vivid. After putting it on, she really looked like a beautiful fox spirit. The man readily accepted her advice. Thank you, Lady Tutu. Hee, I've met fox spirits before. They're all very good-looking. The rabbit spirit paused and sighed. But they're a little smelly. I'm afraid that they'll taste bad. I haven't tried them yet. The man smiled but did not say anything. On the street, a few fox spirits who had sneaked down the mountain suddenly looked as if they were facing a great enemy, as if their lives were in great danger. What's going on? Could it be that there's a demon hunter? Hey, there's a Kongming lantern. Not far away, a young girl wearing a tiger mask rushed toward the river. Normal people walked, but she walked as if she was hopping. Behind her, a black-haired man in a black robe followed. His steps were neither fast nor slow, but he always maintained a distance of one step behind the girl. The murderous aura was gone. The fox spirits heaved a sigh of relief and wiped the sweat off their heads. However, they did not let down their guard. They did not dare to wander around the lantern festival, and they all quickly slipped away. By the river, sky lanterns rose into the air one after another, forming bright stars in the silent night sky. The rabbit spirit also bought a Kongming lantern. She did not know many human words, much less write them. However, she had her own unique way of making wishes. Her fair little hand drew a little rabbit and then drew countless carrots. The picture was crooked, like the scribbles of a human cub, full of childlike interest and innocence. The rabbit spirit was just about to release the Kongming lantern when it suddenly recalled that there was someone else beside it. Are you going to release it? I'll buy you one too. However, when he turned around, all the peddlers who had bought the Kongming lanterns were gone. Strange. Why is everyone gone? She muttered in a low voice, but the man beside her didn't say anything. He didn't think there was anything wrong with using a shielding spell. The little rabbit could block human perception, and he, unfortunately, could block the little rabbit's perception. Forget it, I'll draw it for you. The rabbit spirit generously handed her Kongming lantern to the man. You can only draw this side. Chapter 1088. The man thanked her and took the Kongming lantern. After thinking for a moment, he drew a small figure with his slender fingers. It had long hair and a long robe. It was like a replica of him. Then he drew a small tiger. Is that it? The rabbit spirit was curious. What's your wish? The man said in a low voice. That's my wish. Oh, I see. The rabbit spirit looked calm. It clearly didn't understand, but it still pretended to know everything. It was so cute. The Kongming lantern carried their wishes and gradually rose. The small flame gathered in the thousands of stars. The man looked up. He seemed to be looking at the sky, but also seemed to be in a daze. Let's go and eat glutinous rice balls. His sleeve was grabbed. His eyes flickered, and he let the little rabbit drag him forward. The next day, the rabbit spirit brought the man to the school. The two of them had spells, so they weren't afraid of being discovered by humans. They sat openly in the school. The two of them happened to encounter a newly opened elementary class. They started from the simplest words. Heaven and earth are black and yellow, the universe is chaotic. The little rabbit fell asleep after learning a few words. The sleeping little rabbit returned to its original form. A small one nestled on the desk. The man calmly carried her into his arms and placed her on his lap. The little rabbit's ears trembled. She felt a familiar aura and didn't wake up. The man pinched the rabbit's ears and rubbed the back of the rabbit's neck. The little rabbit slept even more soundly. Day after day. The rabbit spirit slept every day, and the man went to class every day. 3 months passed. The two of them returned to the rabbit spirit's home. The white tiger had gained weight again. Not only that, it also liked to eat carrots. It also began to eat meat and vegetables in its daily diet. Under the bright peach blossoms, the man leaned against a tree trunk. Beside him was a white and soft little rabbit. Not far away, the white tiger was playing with poultry all over the mountains. According to it, this could make the meat more compact and delicious. Hubatian and Dumbo Rabbit finally lived happily together. The man's voice was like the sound of nature as he slowly told the story in the book. The rabbit spirit said regretfully, "I thought the rabbit demon would eat the fox demon." The man stopped flipping through the book. Continue. Continue. I want to hear more. Hey. The rabbit spirit was stunned. The main characters in the story all have names. I have a name too, but you and White Tiger don't seem to have a name yet. The white tiger's ears twitched and it ran back with a swoosh. Its eyes were filled with anticipation. It had followed its master for countless years. He didn't even have a name. My lord, quickly give me a name." The white tiger looked at its lord anxiously. However, he heard the soft voice of the rabbit spirit. "You'll be called Big Cat." The white tiger roared, "This hoo-hoo is not a cat." All right, then let's do it." Such a perfunctory name. The white tiger was dissatisfied. "Who do you think you are?" "I want my lord to give me a name." The man's voice was gentle. "Listen to Tutu." White Tiger, also known as Brain Axe, was so angry that he slammed his head against the tree. The rabbit spirit's eyes widened. So waiting for the tiger to strike is real. The white tiger became even angrier. This illiterate rabbit. He was obviously waiting for the rabbit to show up. Also, Milord has lost his mind and his brain hasn't recovered yet. The idioms such as waiting for the rabbit to show up, the fox mourns the death of the rabbit, and cooking the dog when the rabbit is dead all mistakenly described the rabbit as the tiger. Every time it wanted to correct him, Milord used the muting spell on it. It was simply unreasonable. "Then what should I be called?" the man asked with a smile. The rabbit spirit flipped through the book and pulled out a book from the pile. "I remember that at the end of this story, the female protagonist wrote a letter to the male protagonist." "What was it at the end?" "Oh right, Song of Sure Sway. You said it meant to wish you well all year round. Then you'll be called Sure Sway." Chapter 1089. At this point in the story, the little white tiger sighed. It took out a carrot from somewhere and started munching on it. Little Meow Meow asked curiously, "Why did you stop?" He had eaten many treasures, so his IQ was higher than ordinary children's. It wasn't hard for him to understand this story. "It's boring after that." Little White Tiger looked at the sky and said softly, "Are you sure you want to listen?" Little Meow Meow nodded. "Sigh, let's continue then." That god called Sure Sway stayed in the rabbit spirit's nest for a long time. During this period, the god, tiger, and rabbit even went out to explore together a few times. They crossed the Sea of Time and traveled all over the world, passing through all kinds of worlds. They witnessed life and death together, the rise and fall of the stars, and the surging of the tides. They also separated from time to time. Sure Sway was the god guarding the Sea of Time. He often had to deal with the broken void to prevent chaos. The rabbit spirit was still planting carrots. However, the new vegetable field that she opened up gradually started to plant other kinds of vegetables. The varieties that Xianxia liked to eat. Year after year, year after year. During another reunion, the rabbit spirit took out the wine that she had brewed. The white tiger, also known as Brain Axe, was very wary. "You're not thinking of having a baby rabbit with Big Brother, are you?" The rabbit spirit asked innocently. "No, do you want to have a baby tiger with him? We're good friends now. I don't have to eat the baby tiger you give birth to." Brain Axe was facing a great enemy. "What nonsense are you talking about?" The familiar silence spell blocked all the nonsense it was about to say. "I'll drink with Lord Tutu." Xianxia smiled. He was always wearing black robes in the past, but now he was wearing white. He looked elegant and gentle. "Lord, please." The rabbit spirit said embarrassedly. "Just call me Tutu. We've known each other for many years." "Then, Tutu." Xianxia drank and praised. "Good wine." His voice was gentle and affectionate. It was a gentleness that Brain Axe had never experienced before. "Here, this is the present I brought for you." Xianxia pulled out a pile of boxes from her sleeve. There was food, drinks and toys. There were also many seeds of vegetables and fruits. Brain Axe was extremely envious. Woo-woo, why was she so cold to him every day, but so nice to this damned rabbit? The rabbit spirit smiled. "I have a gift for you too." She conjured up a storybook and flipped through the pages. What appeared inside were not words but moving images. A little rabbit helped two little people get together. In the end, the two little people held hands, and the little person's head glowed, and a bunch of carrots fell from the sky. The rabbit spirit gestured with her hands and feet. "You can find many, many little rabbits to help you. The more people there are, the more strength there is. After the little rabbits finish their work, you can give them a corresponding reward. This way, you won't have to worry about the void always being broken." Brain Axe's eyes widened. This rabbit spirit. Why did it feel like she was rather smart? Xianxia said thoughtfully, "One rabbit may not be enough. We need a helper." A moment later, he raised his hand and tapped on the book. On the page, words appeared. White Tiger knew that Lord had used the rabbit spirit's suggestion to set the rules. "Tutu, this is a storybook we wrote together. The story is about traveling through time quickly. What do you think is a good name for the book?" Xianxia tilted her head and asked. "Traveling through time quickly? Okay, I'll listen to Tutu." On this day, the traveling through time system appeared. Before they could use it, the Sea of Time was turbulent. Chapter 1090. The turbulence was so widespread that even the rabbit spirit's nest began to shake. Space was faintly showing signs of breaking into pieces. Xianxia was silent for a moment, then said, "Tutu, I should go." Brain Axe wanted to follow, but was thrown to the rabbit spirit's side. "Woo-woo. Be good and stay with her." Xianxia sighed softly. His gaze fell on the rabbit spirit. He wanted to say something, but felt that it was better not to say anything. The rabbit spirit hugged the big carrot and said softly, "I was lying to you before. I didn't want to eat you. Remember to come back for dinner. I'll help you take care of Brain Axe." Xianxia stared at her. "Sorry. I also lied to you. My injuries aren't that serious, and I'm not illiterate. There's a lot more." He took out a broken sky lantern. It was the one that he and the rabbit spirit had released. "Keep it as a memento. If I don't come back, throw it away." Xianxia left. The nest went from shaking to stable, and then shook violently. No one knew what kind of danger the god guarding the Sea of Time was going through. Woo-woo. Brain Axe's tears fell. It knew that its master might die this time. Even gods could fall. And the rabbit spirit beside it was very calm. After the effect of the silence technique passed, Brain Axe roared, "You're heartless. Master is gone, but you're not sad at all. The last time the Sea of Time was turbulent, Master almost died. This time, it's even worse than last time." "Well," the rabbit spirit said softly, "this place is for you. If possible, help me plant carrots." Brain Axe said angrily, "You're still thinking about planting carrots at a time like this? I don't only know how to plant carrots." She was a very powerful great demon. Under Brain Axe's shocked gaze, The rabbit spirit hugged her carrot and tore through the void bit by bit, jumping towards the sea of time. Every step he took left a bloody claw mark on the ground. Brain Axe realized something. "Hey, you stupid rabbit, you're not allowed to go." The claw mark seemed to be connected into a red thread. The god in the sea of time seemed to have sensed something. He turned around and saw a white and soft rabbit. His little rabbit. Later on, the space stabilized, and the transmigration system was officially activated. There were countless workers and countless systems bustling about. Brain Axe became the guardian of the Sea of Time and the keeper of order. Little Meow Meow asked curiously, "Where did that god and rabbit go?" "They suppressed the chaos in the Sea of Time together. That god could have survived, but he left his last chance of survival to that annoying rabbit." The little white tiger's tone was a little angry and sobbing. "He didn't have to die. It's all that rabbit's fault." A few seconds later, the little white tiger wiped its tears. "All right, I'm the liar. I've never blamed that rabbit. I blame myself." He blamed himself for not being strong enough and not even having the chance to sacrifice himself. It would rather sacrifice itself than let the gods and the rabbit spirit sacrifice themselves. Fortunately, in this lifetime, they had finally met. Xianxia had a strange dream. In the dream, she was a rabbit spirit and met Shui, who was a god. After waking up, she told Shui about the dream. "Do you believe in the past life or the next life?" Xianxia asked, resting her chin on her hand. The sunlight shone through the floor-to-ceiling windows, and Shui's figure seemed to be bathed in the light, outlining his well-defined silhouette. The man's voice was lazy. "I only believe in this life." Xianxia's eyes curved. "What a coincidence." "Me too." The two of them looked at each other and smiled. "Sigh, in this life, I only believe in one person. And it's the rest of my life." End of book. 2021. 3-8-00-26. Thank you, little angels, for your support of Shui's sister E. That's why Unwan persevered until today. I hope that everyone in the story will be frozen in the most beautiful moment. I hope that we outside the story will be treated with gentleness and warmth by the world. She opened a new book, Little Pet. She didn't want to be popular around the world, and added it to her bookshelf. Nuan Nuan's Weibo, Rising Clouds, and Xiang Nuan, QQ Space. This is the last time this book is saying good night, have a good dream, and be in a good mood tomorrow, Red Heart.